Hi everyone, this is Jeff Crone and I'm the librarian at NECB, and in this webinar I want to talk to you about the library, provide you with a general introduction to it, how the library is designed, what sort of resources you can expect to find there, and just briefly show you some of the most heavily used databases that you can use for doing research for assignments or discussion questions. You'll see on the screen the homepage for the Information Literacy for College Success course. Just to know how to get to the library, you'll see over in the left-hand navigation bar link to NECB eLibrary, so regardless of what page you happen to be on in your course, you'll always see this left-hand navigation bar, and by clicking on that link, it'll bring you to the library, which I happen to have open in this tab. You'll see here the home page of the library. Let me just scroll down so you get a rough sense of what sort of information can be found. There are links to databases, link to Google Scholar, to eZBib, which is our APA resource over here. It's our reference desk here. You'll see here other links, other tabs. This is the basic layout of the library, databases A to Z through here, browse resources, tutorials, writing tools, APA resources, and a help desk. And I'll go into more detail in just a minute, but let me start with the home page and just give you help you give an understanding of how the library is organized. So over on the left-hand side of the page, or rather in the center right here, so you'll see a link, an email address to Student Help Desk. If you're ever having any sort of technical issues accessing a database or anything with the library, technical, please send an email to our technical service librarian by way of this email address, and they'll be able to help you with access issues, that is getting into a database, for example. If it's a reference question, I'll show you where that is in just a minute. Over here on the left-hand side, you'll see other, I think, useful links, such as evaluating online sources, which is important for you as a researcher. Other links to time management, student resources, critical thinking. These are guides which should help you. You'll see a link here to databases A to Z, which is the same link as this browse here, and I'll show you that in a minute. Browse resources by subject. This Journals A to Z link is, I think, a very important tool. One question that comes up fairly frequently is students are looking for a particular journal, say the Journal of Finance or Journal of Marketing or Harvard Business Review, and we'll ask, well, where can I find this? What database has that? Well, by way of this tool here, you can locate, you can identify where that particular journal is available full text in one of our databases. And so if you click on Journals A to Z, it'll bring you to this page here, and you can type in the title of the publication that you're interested in. In this case, let's say Harvard Business Review. And we want to click Browse. What you'll get after clicking Browse is a list of the databases where it's available full text here at the library. And so these are the names of the databases, and these are the date ranges. So for example, it looks like everyone is stopped at 2000. However, the Business Source Complete database has it from 1922 to current. So if I click on the link here for Business Source Complete, it will bring me into the database. And you'll see here over on the right hand side in date order 2016 all the way back to 1922 with the entire full text of that. You click on any one of those, let's say 1997, and you'll see all the issues. And if you click on any one of those links, it'll bring you into that particular issue with a list of all the different articles that were published in that particular issue. Click on here, click on here. So that was Journals A to Z. Go further down here. This is a resource called eZBib, which I go into more detail in the APA Bootcamp webinar, which is also available for you to watch. But briefly, eZBib is a great tool. If you click on here, it brings you into the resource, and one of the, I think the benefits of using this tool, it has a tool where you type in the information about the source that you're using, say an article from a journal or a book or a document found on the web, and it will automatically put it in APA format. Just one little warning, and again I go into more detail in the APA Bootcamp webinar, is that about 95% from what I've seen are correct. Some of the citations, there are some errors, and so you need to make sure you review the citations that creates, just to make sure they are correct, because you're ultimately responsible for the work that you submit in your papers. eZBib also, by the way, covers a number of different citation styles besides APA. There's also MLA, so make sure when you go into the database that APA was chosen. Many times it defaults to MLA. Just want to make sure that you're using the right citation style. But I'll go into more detail in this in the APA Bootcamp, but I just want you to be aware of where you can find it here at the library. This section right here, if you were to go into a traditional on-ground college library, You would see books and chairs and journals and computers. You would see all the trappings of an on-ground physical library. And probably the most important resource in that library, I think, is the reference desk. A reference desk which is staffed with professional librarians who are there to help you. We are, of course, an online library, not an on-ground, but this is our reference desk. And we offer two forms of reference. We offer a 24/7 live chat reference service. So regardless of whether it's 8 in the morning or 3 in the morning, if you were to click on here, it would bring you into a live chat session with a reference librarian. This is a very important resource that we offer. A lot of our usage actually comes late at night, and so please, I encourage you to make use of this service. The other service reference is one provided by me. I'm not necessarily 24/7, but I will promise to get back to you very fast. If you click on here, it'll bring you to a form. You fill it out, and the reference question will come to me, and I'll get back to you, and I can respond to you by by email, by phone. If need be, I can set up a webinar. So the point of reference is for both the 24/7 service and myself to be here for you. So please, it always pains me when I hear of a student who spent several days doing research on a topic, having very little luck. It could be that if you had contacted us and we're here to help you, we could have found you an answer in 10 minutes. So there's little reason why you would want to avoid using this service. We're here to help you. So that's the online reference service. In the center part of the page here, this is what they call a federated search feature or a global search feature. What this does, it gives you the ability to search over all of our databases. There are arguments pro and con as far as whether you want to use this tool or whether you want to identify a specific database and do your research in there. We try to offer a variety of different tools. One pro for using this particular search feature is, again, as I said, it's a search over all of our databases, over 40. The downside is it's essentially a keyword search, so you may end up with search results that are not quite as close to what you had hoped but this is a tool which we're offering to you. Just to show you how this works, let's say you're doing some research on Ernest Hemingway and his experience in Key West. So let's say you can type in Key West, and I would advise, if you were going to use more than one word in a phrase, to put it in quotes, so it'll read it as Key West and then Hemingway. I'm going to say just a full text and click on search. This will bring over here into the tool, and Deep Web will run a search over our 40 plus databases, and there's going to be a little window that will pop up in just a minute, which will ask me if I want to continue searching, and I'm going to say no once it loads. It's searching over. Okay, you could, if you wanted, you could ask it to continue searching, but I'm going to say, just for the purposes of this, just to ignore. And when you go down here, you will see all of these articles. And these are articles that are full text in our databases. You could, if you wanted to, you could click on any one of those and it'll bring up the article. You'll see over on the left-hand side here, so there are 890, but I could have narrowed it down just to 56 for Florida Keys. You'll see there are other topics, something on New York, mental health, healthcare, Hemingway lookalike contest. There are a number of different topics apparently that fall in within Hemingway and Key West. To specific publications, to a source, particular database, dates. You could say, well, there were 12 from 2016. If I clicked on this, it would limit it just to the 12. It would display just the 12 from 2016. Also, whether it's an article, whether it's available in HTML or PDF. So a lot of them are in HTML 27 and PDF. Another way of doing this is to go up to new search and say an advanced search. And here I have a little bit more power as far as doing a search. I could say, well, gee, I don't want Key West or Hemingway in the entire record, that is the full text of the article. I just wanted to search, I want Hemingway to be in the title of the article. And I don't think I want to go back to 2000 or the very beginning of time. I want to narrow it to say 2003 to 2015. And I also don't want to search over all the databases. You can see over here on the left, if I mouse over these, it tells you what the database is about. I'm going to click off all sources. I'm going to say I think I just want to limit my search to just a handful of databases. Let's say Contemporary Literary Criticism, Literature Resource Center, and let's say ProQuest Research Library. These are 3 databases that might work well for this particular search. So I can rerun it now with a much narrower focus. Click on search, and I'm going to get a much smaller number of articles, but a little bit more precise searching. So this is doing a federated search. So let me click out of this. Excuse me, and that's right there. Google Scholar, see this here? If you were to go out onto the web in Google and do a search in Google Scholar, you would find articles that are from open access journals, that is, ones that are free. You would also find scholarly material that Google judges scholarly, that are posted to various websites. You would also, I think annoyingly, find links to articles that are actually at publishers' websites and for which you have to pay money. Google Scholar, if you were to search it by here, what it does is it actually synchronizes a Google Scholar search with all of our library databases. So you will find all the open access journal articles that are available for free. You will also find scholarly material that's been posted to websites that's freely available. But you will also, by doing a search through here, be able to find articles that are in journals in our databases. So it sort of gets Google Scholar speaking with our library databases. So this is a very helpful tool that we added recently. So you could, for example, do a search and say you're doing some research on business women. Let's say business ethics. Click on search. And just to see the extra value that's provided by doing a Google Scholar search through here, once this loads, you'll see over on the right hand side NECB full text. So these here are links to articles. Yeah, here more links to articles that are our databases. If you did a Google Scholar search just out doing Google Scholar, you would not get this. So you need to do the search in the home page of the library right through here. So let me go down page here. These are links to major databases that we have of the 40 plus. You can see over we have a reference collection with more databases that are available full text. I'm going to go into these and pick a few of them in just a few minutes, but let me go to these tabs that I promised to show you how the library is organized. So this is the home page. Databases A to Z, click here. Excuse me. This is an A to Z list of all the databases we have with links to the databases and a brief description about what each one contains. There's a lot, and the only way you're really going to familiarize yourself with the library is if you spend some time exploring it, or you ask a reference question of the reference librarian, and they can advise what databases would work best. They can even give you advice on how to search them. So please, again, I encourage you to use the reference service. Again, we're offering it right over here so you can see it. Click on Browse Resources. This is a list of approximately 24 subjects that correspond to subjects that are taught here at NECB. If you were to click on any one of these, and each one is organized the same way, say let's click on Business Ethics, it will give you a list of, these are all the subjects up here again, you'll see 3 things: a list of recommended databases for doing research, in this case business ethics, a list of recommended web sites, and also a list of full-text journals, leading journals in this particular field. So this is another way if you're saying, gosh, how do what databases do I choose? Well, through the Browse Resources section, click on this and bring it back to the home page. By clicking Browse Resources, you can say, well, gee, business ethics, it will give you the recommended databases, websites, or journals that you can use. Tutorials, click on here. This is a growing section of the library, which will be adding more content. These are tutorials that are offered for doing doing research in different databases we offer. Again, you'll see links to the 24/7 research that reference we're offering, also links to some of the resources such as how to evaluate online sources. Writing tools. Here up in the top part, you'll see the eLibrary Award for Research. This is an award which is given every year at commencement to our outstanding research papers that students did in the previous academic year. We've offered it for several years now. There are links here. You can pull up the full text of the article and see examples of some of the very best research that our faculty have judged. This is the criteria for this current year on the library. You'll see information literacy material down here, which is very helpful, I think, as being able to evaluate information. Down here, there's also more APA resources. Information on how to do an in-text citation, for example, or how there's a link to the Purdue OWL online writing lab. Great resource offered by Purdue University. Up here, another easy bib. We want to make sure you can see it. Plagiarism. These are plagiarism resources, which is an important part of doing scholarly work. Click on APA resources. Once again, click the easy bib and the APA resources here. And this is our help desk. This is help desk in terms of technical help. Reference services here. This is technical help, and it gives some brief descriptions. One common fix, sometimes we get students who they can't get into a database. A very quick fix is to simply go to the browser and clear the cache, and then go back into it. And for some reason or other, the technical reason I don't understand, it will sometimes save a password, and the only way to get that password is some error with it. You need to clear the cache and then go back in again, and that oftentimes will work successfully. But there's information here, some of the most common problems, and you can read about that. So let's go back to the home page here, and let me show you a couple of leading databases that you can use for your research. And the first one that I want to show you is something called IBISWorld. IBISWorld is a database, a great database for doing industry research. I'm going to click on here to bring you into the database. This database is one that is used by business students at every major business school in the United States, at Harvard Business School, at Stanford, Chicago, Columbia, Northwestern. The MBA students and undergraduate, if they have offered undergraduate business program, use IBISWorld. It's an outstanding database, and we have it here for you at NECB. In this database, and I'll show you how to do a keyword search as well as how to browse it, there are industry reports on over 730 industries. I think it's 732 or 734, in a wide range of sectors. And these are really terrific reports that are regularly updated. The data in them is drawn from government and industry sources, very credible. And what you could do is when you go in here, you can run a search if you like. Here you could type in the word credit cards. And what it will do is it will retrieve the reports that one would most likely, the industry reports that one would most likely want to look at if you're doing research on credit cards. So like credit card issuing, or credit bureaus, or credit unions, or credit card processing. These two in particular look interesting. I'll show you an example of one report in just a minute, but I just want to get you an idea of just how to do a keyword search here. Let's go back to browse. Now, I showed you how to do a keyword search. Let's go into here. And what you'll see in here, I want to lead you to this section of this NAICS. If you may see NAICS, if you're not already familiar with it, NAICS stands for the North American Industrial Classification System. It's sort of a classification system organizing industry. There was another code which is still used, but it's been superseded by NAICS, called SIC codes, Standard Industrial Classification System. Again, it's a classification system for industries, and you can see these are the numbers that correspond to this particular industry. You can ignore the number if you like, and just look at the title of the type of industry, and then go into that report. So let's go down here just again to give you a sense of the wide breadth of coverage here. It's really pretty remarkable. Finance, healthcare, information, manufacturing. You can see all the different manufacturing sectors, mining, professional, retail trade. So let's take a look at one. Let's go into shoe stores. If we click on here, it will bring up the report for shoe stores. And there are a couple of ways to look at this. You could, if you wanted to, you could download the PDF and look at it in print, but you could also look at it online. And so there's two different ways of doing this. You could, if you wanted to click on the PDF, it'll put it in a PDF report. These reports run 30 to 60 pages in length. If you're looking at it online, and let's do it online. So this is the opening page. It's a brief introduction to the industry. And again, this is all very current information, talking about major players, main activities, similar industries if you're interested in doing some research on other industries close to this particular one. Glossary, go here to industry at a glance. We have, and the data is very current. Executive summary. You have industry performance. So if you're analyzing a company and the industry in which it operates, an IBIS World Report is I think, terrific. If you were analyzing a particular shoe store, a shoe store chain, and you want to understand the industry in which it operates, this would go very well with the company research that you're doing. You'll see from time to time these little green icons. If you click on this, it will export all the data in this table into an Excel spreadsheet for you. So that's the industry as a whole, industry outlook. And again, that data can be exported. Life cycle, the products and markets. When I've seen assignments at NECB and you're expected to do industry research, it is fascinating to me just how much of the information that you're being requested to research is in these reports. So these are all the different types of products. That's how it's segmented by age, geographically. We have the competitive landscape, very important to know, the concentration, cost structure, barriers to entry, how global it is, major companies. So this is very useful as far as market share. Foot Locker, in this case, they're saying it's 12% at this point. Payless, Designer, Brown Shoe. So these are all major players in the industry. One thing also I find useful about these reports is many of the industries which are tracked by IBIS World are industries which are comprised mostly of private companies. As you may know, when you research companies, if it's a company that's publicly held or publicly traded, or it's a company in an industry comprised mostly of public companies, the amount of publicly available information, data especially, available on that industry is much higher than in an industry which is comprised mostly of small privately held companies, for example, like hair salons. That can be much more challenging, and that's where IBIS World has a very, very good coverage in many industries which are comprised of privately held companies. So this is, again, a very good database. Operating conditions. And again, you could, if you wanted to, you could have printed this out in a PDF. And here is data on the industry as a whole. And again, you'll see these green icons, which give you the ability to export the data into each one to Excel. So this is the IBIS World database, and I don't want you to forget about that because it's going to be really very helpful when you're doing research on industries. So that's IBIS World. Another one which is very helpful is Plunkett Research. So that was IBIS. This is Plunkett. Click on that. Plunkett is another one that is found at a lot of major business schools. And this one is, I think it's very well designed. It's very intuitive. And the information in here most of the information is in what they call research centers. And so what you can do is you can pick an industry. Click on this down arrow and you'll see all those industries. And there's over 30. And most of them are industries. So some of them are actually by geography, like Canadian industries, or privately held companies is another research center. But most of these are industries. And just to give you an idea of what sort of information you can find in here, let's just go into biotech. And regardless of which research center you choose, each one's formatted the same way. So go in here, and so this is biotech, drugs, genetics, industry research, and you'll see these links here. And again, as I say, every research center is designed the same way. Click on here, Market Research and Trends, to get started. And here is, and these are updated quite frequently, so you're getting current information. So this is the introduction, state of the biotech industry today. This is all introductory information. It gives you a good background on what's going on in bio. Go up here, and you could, if you wanted to, you could click on the PDF. It'll print out in PDF. See this little down arrow? Well, there's all these other sections that deal with market research and trends for this particular industry that will help you with your research. So it's designed to really be, if not quite one-stop shopping for doing all the research on biotech, it's going to give you a very, very good grounding in biotech before you start researching a company. So this is market research and trends. Let's go back up to, you can go to statistics. This is another one of the, this is more data rather than text. So this is giving you data on biotech industry statistics, market size, all this sort of data. Be very helpful for your research. You could, not just as a PDF, but you could export the whole thing to Excel. Other data is available here too. So you've got as far as R&D, you've got exports, imports, sales by geographic area, and each one of these, by clicking that, it will change what's displayed, and you could export that data if you wanted to. Companies and executives. This is another section of the database which I think is very useful. In here you can do a screening. So if, for example, you said, I want to identify biotechnology companies in a particular state, let's say in Massachusetts. Click on this, and there's a number of different options available to you. But I'm going to, let's say Massachusetts. I'm going to say sales more than a billion. That's and this is in millions. And I'm going to cut it by 1,000 employees. I could, if I wanted to put in some other criteria to limit it. I could, if I limit it to a particular type of company, whether it's public or private. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just say all companies, run a search, and this would be Massachusetts. So there were 13 companies which the database brought back, which are all types, whether public or private, over $1 billion in sales, and with more than 1,000 employees. And if I wanted to, this is basic information about the company. You can say Biogen. Let's click on this link, and you can drill down. You can spend a good deal of time in here. And again, this is just a very quick view of what you can find in this database. But once this comes up, you've got the opening page for Biogen. You've got some of the how they rank compared to other major biotech companies in terms of revenue. These are links to biographical information on all these people who are running Biogen. Brief description of the company over on the right-hand side. Coming down here with financial information, and you could, if you wanted to, you could export all this data. You could go and drill down and get more financial information. You can compare to industries. You can build a custom table, or you can do some comparative analysis with other companies in biotech. Going down here further. So that's doing a screening. One of the section I want to show you is this build a report feature, and this is I know there's at least one assignment at NECB where this is required. Build a report simply is that you can take different sections of this database for biotech and create a custom PDF report that draws from all these different sections in the Biotech Research Center. So you could, for example, say, I'm going to create one that has that State of Biotech Industry Today introduction, and I think I want to also throw in something about this biofarming, because I think that's important to discuss. There's some statistics that I want to include in the report, and I'm going to put that in and put that in. And if I wanted to, you could then start adding some companies. You could have chosen on the Biogen or a couple of others and have them profiled as part of this PDF report you're going to produce. You could, if you wanted to, throw in a couple of industry associations, which are great resources for information about an industry. And then you can create it in PDF, which I'm not going to do here, but just so you know that this feature is available to you. It's a very good way of pulling the information on an industry and any company or companies that do business in your particular industry. So that's Plunkett Research. So let me click on that, close out of that. And another database that I'd like to show you, two databases in fact, which are very similar to each other, which I can't say enough about. I think they're databases that I think students can use in many classes at NECB. And one database is called Opposing Viewpoints, and another one is called Global Issues. And let me show you one after the other, and they're both produced by the same database vendor. The Opposing Viewpoints is more of deals with U.S. issues. Global Issues in context is more non-U.S., more global, as the title says. If you click on Opposing Viewpoints, what this database does is it provides material, sort of one-stop shopping, really, information on controversial social topics, both pro and con, or as many different sides as there is to something. And they have you can run an advanced search here if you wanted to, the search terms you are interested in doing research on, or you can browse. And let me show you how to browse first, because it'll just give you an idea of what's in here. So click on Browse Issues, and what you'll see at this page is a list of all the different issues which are covered in this database, and a rather large number. One type of assignment, you'll see a lot here, one assignment that students oftentimes get is they're expected to research a particular topic and maybe come up with an opinion on that topic. Sometimes also there are discussion questions that you may be expected to address. In a macroeconomics course, for example, there may be a discussion question on minimum wage. Should there be a minimum wage is the question that's posed, and if so, what should it be? How do you answer that? There are points pro and con as to whether there should be a minimum wage, and if there is, what should that price that figure be? Well, what you can do is you can go in here and you can get or you may be writing a paper on minimum wage. You can go in here and you can pull up the page on minimum wage. So click on here, and what this database does for you is it pulls together all really great articles, research reports, statistics on minimum wage. You could here click on this View More, gives you a good introduction on what the current state for this topic is. You can see down here there are 41 articles that deal with viewpoints, pro and con, statistics, again viewpoints over here that they're pulled out as featured viewpoints, academic journal articles on minimum wage, some primary sources, news stories, images, audio, reference material, biographical information, websites, and over here again other links to the same as just displayed differently. Great one, as I say, one-stop shopping. If you're doing research on minimum wage, you want to write a 5 to 7 page paper, this is the place to go, and it pulls together all the information you need in order to do that. You could, if you wanted to, however, you could have run a search up here, and you could have on any topic that you want. Let me just click on there so you can just see how this feature yeah. So what you could do is it could have been on a topic that was not listed in the browse issues, and here you have the choice of being able to run a keyword search. You could say that I want that word in a document title. You can limit it to by date, whether it's full text, and whether it's in an academic journal or it's in a magazine or in a primary source. So there are a number of different ways in which to use this database, but I can't recommend this database highly enough. A really excellent tool for many assignments that you'll have at NECB. The other database I mentioned was Global Issues in Context, and again designed very similar to Opposing Viewpoints, put up by the same vendor, but this has an international focus. And if you were going to do some research in, I don't know, business ethics or corporate bribery or any one of it, whether it's a general education course or a business course, this is a database that you can use many times. Here it's broken into different broad categories like government, politics, environment, science and technology. Let's go into business and economy, and here you'll see all the different issues, all the different topics which they have their little research centers on. So you could, for example, if there's one on let's say on climate change or business ethics, let's click on business ethics since that's a degree program here. And once we go and click on this business ethics, it will load the page for business ethics. And again, just like with the Opposing Viewpoints database I showed you, gives you a really good introduction to what's going on in business ethics today. You've got global viewpoints, there's over 300 here, reference material. You've got statistics, news stories, magazines, academic journals, podcasts, primary sources. Everything's pulled together here for you on business ethics. So it's a really terrific resource that I would strongly recommend that you consider using, regardless of whether it's a business or a general education course. And both of those databases are right here. Now there are two databases also that I want to show you briefly that provide books. We have not just articles in journals or newspapers or magazines, about 20,000 in fact in our different databases, but we also offer books. We have two databases, and if you can go over to databases A to Z, you will find them. And the two that I want to bring to your attention, one is called Books 24/7, and the other one is called eLibrary, which is right here. And combined, they have over 100,000 full-text ebooks. And these ebooks, many of them are not books that you will find by doing a Google search. These are books from top-tier publishers, from a lot of them academic publishers that are current, really excellent material, and they're not available for free out on the web. But you can access them full text through these two databases through the library. If you were going to go into eLibrary, which has over 70,000 full-text ebooks. This is has a lot of great material. You can go into let's try Books 24/7. Seems not to be working. Okay, this database has about 35,000 both books as well as videos in it. And you could, if you wanted to, you could do a search up here, a keyword search. You could click on advanced search. In here you have the ability to type in healthcare finance or type in managerial accounting, and it will bring up books on that topic. I mean, if we could, for example, type in healthcare finance, click go. And what you'll get are these books, and you can see if you click on, and a lot of these books resemble textbooks. So if you're looking for some basic information on a topic, this is a good place to go. And maybe that your textbook, for example, doesn't adequately describe or the certain concepts that you're trying to understand in a course. Here you can check this database, and you'll get the full text. Click on any of these chapters, you get the full text of what's contained in this particular book. Another way of doing that, aside from doing a keyword search, is over here on the right hand side. You could browse. Let's say, for example, you're doing work in human resources. You'll see drill down here. You could say, gee, I'm interested in doing some work on diversity. Click on diversity, and what it'll bring up is books on human resources that deal with diversity. And again, the same thing, click on any of these links and it'll bring up the full text of that book. So let me close out of this here, and let me show you two big, like a periodical databases, probably the two biggest databases we have that provide academic journals, trade industry publications, and magazines. And the first one I want to show you is called EBSCO Business Source Complete. And if you go up here, you'll actually go to the home page. You can also see the databases A to Z, but I want to show you it here, and it is right here. So if you click on this, and this is the home page. Now, this database has about 3,800 full-text publications in it. Nearly every single leading journal in every major business discipline, whether it's accounting, finance, human resources, you'll find the leading journals in there. What you could do is you can search by publication if you wanted to. You can also run a keyword search here. You can also do a search on using the thesaurus, and I'll show you how to do that. Let's say, for example, you decided to do a search in here, and you decided to do a search on, say, business ethics and banking. So we can say business and banking. And if you leave it on select a field, there are other options available you can see here, but if you leave it on select a field, what you're telling the database is bring up every single article in which the words business ethics appear either in the title of the article, the abstract of the article — the abstract is a brief summary of what the article is about — or one of the subject headings. So I'm going to leave it on select a field, but I could, if I wanted to, have been a little more specific and say, gee, no, I want it in the title of the article. Click on search. And one of the dangers of doing a search like this is it can actually bring back a lot more than you really want to have to search through. And in this case, 1,000. I can bring up many examples where it'll be 55,000 because there are lots of articles that have, say, the word business ethics either in the title or the abstract. but they may not really be what you want. So bear that in mind. Sometimes when you run a keyword search from the home page like this, it can bring up far too much. Another way of doing search is by way of the thesaurus. Every single article, and there are many, many millions and millions of articles in this database, every single article is tagged with subject headings, and these subject headings, or descriptors are sometimes called, describes what that article is about. So what you can do is you go through the thesaurus rather than doing a keyword search like this. Click on thesaurus, and here what you can do is you can say, I want to see if there is a subject heading or descriptor for business ethics. Click browse. Click on here, and what you get at this page is what's called a scope note. And a scope note is the database's definition of this term. So just so you and the database are in agreement as to what business ethics is about, this is what they mean by business ethics. If that is indeed what you want to search on, click on this here. Let's change that to and let me just bring this up so you can see what's going to happen. Click on add, and it's going to pop it up here. So if I hit the button search right now, it would bring back every single article which is tagged with the subject heading business ethics. So that's a more precise way of doing research in this database rather than doing a keyword search, because these are articles that are substantially about business ethics. But I suspect that's going to bring back a lot. So let's also run a search on banking, because the focus of my paper, I'm going to pretend, is on business ethics and banking. And when I click browse, okay, so what it says, banking, use banking industry. So sometimes the terms that the subject heading that you think the database will use, that's not exactly what the term used by the database. In this case, it's saying, well, we use banking industry, not banking. So click on this here, and here I'm going to click on, you can see all these other different ones that are available to you. I'm going to stick with this here. And by the way, you know, how successful you are in doing research, whether it's in a library database or really just doing a Google search, a lot of it's dependent on using the right vocabulary, using the right search terms. This is a really great way of identifying sometimes better search terms or alternative search terms, because sometimes there's more than one search term that you'll use. Sometimes the words that are used by people who write on your topic may use a number of different terms. So it's important when you go down here, you see there are broader terms, narrower terms, and these links bring you to additional lists. So I encourage you, if you're trying to understand, you're doing some research in the banking industry, you might say, well, gee, gosh, maybe I should have been using this one or this one here or any one of these other alternative terms. But in this case, let's just keep it simple, stay with banking industry. I'm going to click add, and as I said, the point of my research is on business ethics in banking, or banking industry as this database defines it. Click on search, and I get 186. So I get 186 articles which are on business ethics in the banking industry. Now, about 80% of the articles in this database are full text. The other 20% provide a citation and an abstract. If you ever find an article that you really like, it's not available full text in this database, send me a reference question over here in the home page, and I will try to locate it for you. So just let's go back over to here. Of the 186, now we can cut this further. We could say I want to just limit it to full text in this database. That cuts it to 132. So there's 132 articles which are full text here. I could also, if I wanted to, I could say, gee, I want to limit it to scholarly sources. There are some assignments, some other discussion questions or research assignments for papers where instructors say, I want you to use scholarly sources. If you click on this button here, it will limit the articles only to those that were published in scholarly sources. So it's another way of cutting your search results. Another way is by date. You could, if you want to go in here and you change the year, or you could just take this gizmo and drag it across and say, let's go up to 2008. And that's going to cut it from 132 down to 63. So it's a much more manageable number. And as you're going down through here, you could say, well, gosh, I like Now, just a couple of tips here. One is you can change this display. You could page options. You could say, well, I don't want just 10 to show. I want 50, rather than have to scroll page by page by page. That's one way of doing it. Let's go here. And another one, go to page options, and the amount of information on that article you can change also. So it's defaulting to this standard, which gives you a little bit of information about the article, but maybe not enough information on which to make a judgment whether it's something that you want to really look at more. You can click on detailed, and it will change the display, so you've got more information now about each one of these articles. What you can also do is you go down through here as far as managing your research. You could say, I like that one, and yep, I like that one there too, and I like that one. And what's happening when you click on that folder over there on the right hand side and it turns to yellow is, see up here, click on this, and the ones which you marked are now over here. And you could then take a second look down through this shorter list and say, yep, I think I want them all. And then you can email them to yourself, you can save them, or you can print them. So that's a very good way, I think, of managing your research in this database. So that's the Business Source Complete database. Well, let me show you one other thing in this database. Actually, if you go back to here, and there are company profiles on here. If you go into More, click on company profiles, there are numerous assignments that I've seen in business classes at NECB where you're expected to analyze a company and the industry in which it operates. And sometimes these assignments are spread out over a number of weeks. So the first week you're expected to do the history of the company, maybe then identify the executives, and maybe the products they create, or the very business segments they have, and then maybe the financials. These market line reports are terrific as far as providing all of that. If you were, for example, to go in and say do some research on Merck, the large pharmaceutical company, click Browse. There's one from Merck. Click on the report, and these are very current. Again, it's really very basic information about the company, but I found that they provide a lot of the information that you may need from any assignments that you have in NECB. And if you go down through here, you'll see, and these are all links to different sections of the history. SWOT analysis. I get this reference question fairly often from students who are looking for, where can I find a SWOT analysis on a company? Well, if you click on here, you've got the SWOT analysis for Merck, and that's the case for many of these companies in this database and these reports. And this is the SWOT analysis for Merck. So I would encourage you to, if you're doing some research on a company, just remember that it is right over here in the Business Source Complete database. You click on company profiles and you're going to run a search on your company. So that's one other thing I wanted to show you. And let me show you one last database, and this is the ProQuest Central database. And this is probably our largest periodical database. That is the database which provides newspapers, magazines, scholarly journals. Whereas Business Source Complete, which is the one I showed you here, is a business database. So it's one that you'd use really for business research. ProQuest Central is what's called a multidisciplinary database. That is, it covers a wide range of disciplines, not just business, but also history and literature and sociology and psychology. So business, of course, is much more interdisciplinary these days, so you very well likely, if you're doing, say, a research paper on something in organizational behavior or something in human resources, looking at psychology journals or sociology journals. If you're an undergraduate and you're taking general education courses, this database is a great database for many of the courses you'll be taking that are not business courses. So if you click into ProQuest Central, you will see somewhat the same format as with the Business Source Complete database. You'll come to a search page here. Common mistake I find that students make with this database is they'll start here and they start typing in search terms, and they'll say, gee, I'm doing research on credit cards. This is a database with over 100 million articles in it, and if you type in credit cards, click the little hourglass here, what you're going to end up with is results like this, 4.3 million articles. It's just simply unusable. So one way of doing research in this database I would advise is not to do a basic search unless it's something, it's really obscure term, you're just looking for anything. It may be so unusual a term. Advanced search is a much more effective way of doing research, because when you type in credit cards, you can then limit it to, say, the document title or the publication title, or if it's a specific individual you're doing research on, you can limit it to that particular person. So an advanced search is a better way of doing research. You can also, in advanced search, you can limit it in a number of different ways. You can say you want to limit it by different types of sources. You can cut by date. You can also, in this database, just as you could with the Business Source Complete database, use the thesaurus, because all the 100+ million articles in there in this database are tagged with subject headings, just like in the Business Source Complete database. If you click on thesaurus and you did a search, and you just click on ProQuest, not mesh, that's the medical subject heading, click on ProQuest thesaurus. And in here, you can do the same thing as we did with the Business Source Complete database. You can type in a particular term. You could say you're doing some research on, again, we tried with executive compensation. Let's try, in this case, corporate governance. And I'll click Find. You could change it, contain words, it begins with, either way. You can experiment. Corporate governance, there is a subject term. So we could click on that, and we could, if we wanted to, we could add that to our search. So it's going to, if I would run this search now, it would bring up every single article in which the subject term corporate governance is assigned to that article. So it'd be a far more precise way of doing research than rather than just doing a keyword search, corporate governance. But you could also type in, again, go back to the thesaurus, and you could say, again, we did something with business ethics and banking. In this case, we could do something with and let's do, I'm going to say begins with rather than contains. And I have a choice of banking or banking industry. It looks like they use both. They do. So let's say banking. Actually, you know what? I think, let's try banking. And here, and so now if I were to run a search, hit the search button, I would be doing a search and saying bring back only those articles in which the words the subject headings corporate governance and banking have been assigned to that article. I've limited it to full text. I could, if I wanted to, limit it to scholarly journals. I could, if I wanted to, cut it by date. My preference is to take it broad, that is, find everything that's out there, that I can start narrowing it. I can say, well, there's too much, I want to cut it to the last 5 years or so, or particular types of publications. But here, I'm not going to limit it by language or document type. I'm just going to run it this way. Click Search. And it brings back 155, which are full text on corporate governance and banking. So again, I can go through this, and I could just pick the ones, just like with Business Source Complete, and put them in a folder, and I can have those print, email, or send them to myself. So this is the ProQuest Central Database, and let me just review with you. I think this is the home page, and I think the most important resource that we offer is our reference desk. If you're ever having a problem with your research, it troubles me when a student has spent, I know most or all of you work full-time, you have very full lives, you're going to college now or graduate school, and you shouldn't spend more than a certain amount of time looking for something. We're here to help you. So we offer 24/7 service. If you're ever having any problems, anything, whether it's an APA question, whether you're trying to use the library, use a specific database, you don't know what database to use, where would I find a particular journal, where would I find this data? These are all reference questions. Please, live chat. Click on here. It'll connect you with regardless of the time of day, with a live librarian. You'll also get a transcript of the conversation at the end, emailed to you. If you want to send me an email, I welcome it, especially in business. I think I've been doing it for a very long time. I can help you. I know I can. So please click on there. It'll fill out a form and send it to me. I'll be back to you in very short order. So welcome to the library. There are 2 other webinars that I offer, one on APA and as well as on company industry research. We also offer live webinars too, if you want to be able to ask me questions. These are scheduled in the Canvas calendar. So good luck with your research, and I welcome your reference questions. Take care. Bye-bye.